All right, hello. How y'all doing? It's High Priestess Jamila. I wanted to come and talk about vagabond spirits, how to recognize vagabond spirits, and really how religion opens us up to vagabond spirits, literally pulls them into existence, literally pulls them into the earth. Okay. And, you know, just why I don't deal with religion. Uh, and don't worry, we are thoroughly protected from those negative spirits. I also want to talk about signs that somebody is under the curse of Cain or carries the curse of Cain. uh, and some of the things that they may do. Do I feel that all religious people, have that curse of Cain? I don't. I don't. In fact, I feel that even if you are a person that practices religion, reads religion out of the Bible, I feel that your ancestors protect you actually from negative spirits, vagabond spirits. Okay. Now, when you look up a vagabond spirit, what you're going to find is a vagabond spirit is a spirit or psychological concept describing chronic restlessness, not recklessness, restlessness, instability, and aimless wandering. Often seen as an inability to settle in jobs, relationships, or places, rooted in deep seated issues like rejection or a lack of purpose, and frequently linked to biblical curses like Cain's. Okay, but that's not the only one. Or demonic influence leading to confusion, brokenness, and unfulfilled potential. Though some view a less destructive, free spirited wanderer archetype positively. Okay, I don't. I don't. And I'm gonna talk about this because I feel that I have vagabond spirits that are attacking me in social media, been attacking me and my family for years. And then we'll also talk about how to stop. When it comes to people that are religious, you have to accept that 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 there are some religious people or some religious groups that are going to attack you if you have alternative spiritual beliefs. Okay, now I'm gonna get this out the way at the top of the hour. Okay, that black sector, which is who is mainly and primarily been stalking and harassing my family, those people call jobs. They call people's jobs to try to get them fired from their jobs. Okay. Vagabond spirit. That's a vagabond spirit. Somebody that would call somebody's job. Somebody that would try to call somebody's landlord to get them thrown out. That's it's not the person that they're harassing, you know. It's not the person that they're harassing. It is the person that they are calling. It is the person that is calling the job, the person that is unstable and restless, who can't stop turning on their camera to attack. Now, there has been a long term battle for some reason with these particular spirited type of people with witches. I don't know why, but there is. Okay. Um, Another example of why I believe that the black sector is an infestation of vagabond spirits is because Cain. Okay, if you look at the curse of Cain, Cain was the first murderer. Okay, hold on. Now, why did it bring up something different? Okay, so the biblical context of it is that it's associated with Cain's curse, and Yahweh, who is the God of the Bible, The God of the Bible is Yahweh. Okay. The God of the Bible is not Jesus. Jesus is his son. Okay. If you believe in that, there's some people that just don't believe in the Bible or religion at all. And I think that that it's very much okay for you to not believe in that, right? But there's people like me that believes that there is validity to it. However, I believe that it causes harm. Okay, I do, because basically Cain and Abel, who are Cain and Abel? Cain and Abel are Adam and Eve. You guys notice how, like, seriously, like, I don't dislike Adam, but it just, yeah, because and then I still don't understand why Christians want to attack people. Why are y'all warring with pagans? I don't understand that. If your God is doing everything for you that you want, if Yahweh is providing for you everything that you want, why are you blaming witches for your problems? However, most of the time, Christians are attacking pagans. So maybe you shouldn't be attacking witches or pagans. Why would a Christian need to go back and forth? Why would a Christian feel attacked by a witch? If Yahweh has you covered, why would you be feeling attacked by a witch at all? Anyway, that's just my sentiment, because honestly, I see attacks, but I don't feel attacks. Right? I'm being attacked by religious people, but I don't feel it. I see them doing it. I can witness them doing it, but I don't feel it. I refuse to allow it into my spirit to harm or kill me and my loved ones, who, by the way, a lot of my loved ones do believe in the Bible. Okay. But as a pagan high priestess, I refuse to allow negative spirits, that because let's face it, people are religious because they have fears. They were told that if they don't worship Yahweh, Yahweh said that you will burn in hell for an eternity. From a child. Some people believe in that and are taught that from a child. So as a person that is very empathic, I understand your fear. I overstand your fear, okay, of Yahweh. And Yahweh saying, hey, if you're not obedient to what I say, you're going to burn in hell for an eternity, for not doing what I say. Okay. So Cain and Abel are the sons of, or were the sons of Adam and Eve. And basically, both Cain and Abel made offerings to Yahweh, the God of the Bible. And apparently, God did not accept, or he favored Abel's offering, apparently. Okay. Cain, in a fit of rage, killed his brother, murdered his brother out of jealousy, right? So apparently, God did not punish him. He put protection around Cain, right? So Yahweh didn't allow Cain to be murdered, but he just sent him into exile, right? He just put him into exile. Now, right off the bat, this lets me know I don't want to accept Yahweh as my God. Okay, because to me, you do have a choice, but hey, people do whatever they want to do. I would rather stay out of that, and women, aka witches, or not all women are witches, but women, aka witches, throughout history have said, well, when Christianity or religion was initially induced or inducted into the world, witches said, well, why would I do that when I was doing fine with my old gods? That, you know, in fact, there's a movie, I believe that it might be called The Crucible. I need to look that up real quick. There is actually a movie, and I believe it's called The Crucible, to where it was a little town, and there was the local church that worshiped Yahweh, but there was also some witches down the road who apparently their family owned a farm. Okay, let me see here. Hold on. I'll have to actually look at this movie to tell you if The Crucible is what I'm thinking about, but I'm thinking that that's what it is, because basically these church people were worshiping Yahweh. All of their crops died, but down the road, the witches, their crops were flourishing, right? Their crops were flourishing. I believe we're talking about the same movie here. Of the church in the town took notice of this. Okay, now obviously there were rumors that these witches were witches. But the pastors of the church, since their crops were dying, took notice of this and decided to harass the witches that lived down the road, in which they were witches. Yes, they were. But the pastor of that church decided to harass them out of jealousy. Why are your crops growing and mine are not? I can imagine this has been the story over and over and over again. Next thing you know, a bunch of drama happens. I think some members of the church attempted to harm those witches because they were jealous. Sounds familiar? Curse of Cain. So, so y'all might want to look at that. I'll confirm whether or not that is that movie. Okay. And so it just goes to show, you know, that whole spirit of that, and as to why I choose to not deal with Yahweh at all. So let me go back to where I was at. So signs of a vagabond: instability, frequent job changes, moving homes often. Okay, we've all dealt with that. I remember I was moving every year. Okay, prior to when I started practicing and when I started really, really discovering who I was spiritually, seemed like I was just moving often, not homeless, but there was a time, and I'm very grateful for that, but there was a time when I did have to have, and I wish I had it now actually, no, I'm joking, where I had to have housing assistance. It's hard out there. You got a lot of men with that vagabond spirit on them. A lot of men have a vagabond spirit on them because they believe in religion. Okay. Lack of purpose, feeling lost, confused, or unable to commit to a cause or calling. Okay. It's also rooted in rejection, often stems from deep rejection from pastors, parents, causing distrust and resentment. Spiritual poverty, inability to be planted or established. leading to a lack of spiritual growth or fruitfulness. Okay. Now, AI recognizes the causes, which I don't agree with this, but it says rejection, disobedience, a tainted sacrifice like Cain's. Okay. It says solutions, breaking curses through prayer, repentance, seeking mentorship, finding purpose, and learning to be planted in faith and community. Now, I agree with some of that, but I personally feel like I don't have, as a witch, I don't feel that I need to repent for anything. Repent for what? For healing people? Repent for recognizing and battling bad spirits for the people that I love, which includes my clients. I don't need to repent for that. Okay. And you know what? When I first really got deep into my religion, I made a promise to myself that I would not deal with a man that believes in that religion. The problem is that many of them do. And since then, that is okay. Right? Okay. There are many, many, many witches that are married to Christian men, and they do well together. Okay. So, because if that were the case, by now, by now, believe and worship Yahweh, by this time we would all be dead. We wouldn't even be here no more. Man and woman would not procreate. But I will tell you that the constant worshiping of Yahweh has factually led to more divorce and single parenthood because of the conflict that religion can bring in, even without trying. It is obvious that Yahweh wants that Yahweh does not allow, or at least that spirit. Again, if you believe in it, there's some people they simply just don't believe in Yahweh. But then there's a lot of people that don't believe that Yahweh actually has any power. There are a lot of people that believe that Yahweh is a false god. It just depends on what you believe in. Okay. I personally feel that beneath Lilith, Yahweh is factually a false god. And then also we're hearing more stories about Sophia, who they say created Yahweh. Okay. So you can believe whatever you want. The information is out there. The point that I wanted to make is that we see this on a lot of people, and you know what, I can honestly say that as a woman I have been horribly affected by it, and it was mainly because I at the time I believe it was because I was living in the Bible Belt at the time. Okay. And then also we live in somewhat of a sexist society. Let's keep it real, which sexism is stupid, misogyny is stupid, misogyny equals death. Okay, just like they said that homosexuality, remember when a lot of people came out and said that homosexuality equals death because you can't procreate. Two men can't procreate. Okay, remember when they kept saying that? Well, guess what? What do you think that misogyny does? I mean, it is literally, and this is how you can tell that a lot of people in this world are possessed. So their religion really isn't doing them any good. In fact, from what I have found, people that are very religious can fall under possession unless you have what is called a guardian angel. Okay, guardian angels is a concept that I do believe in, and I do believe that early on, generationally, there are some people, some of your ancestors that created, they created guardian angels to look after people. Because, it would be different if religious people could practice without conjuring negative spirits out of the Bible. Hey, Stefan. But they don't seem to, not all of them. Okay. In fact, I'm going to be honest with you. When I look around at the world, when I look around at the world, what I see is religion directly affecting the whole world. The constant trying to justify the problems in the world with religion, even though either psychologically or either through some egregore, we are creating it. Now, I know that there is some kind of consciousness that I have picked up on that represents Yahweh, that I believe wants to be a threat to me. However, I'm not in like a church organization. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't dare join a church. Why? Because of what it says in the Bible about never suffer a witch to live. I identify mind, body, and soul as a witch. So I don't, that doesn't seem safe to me to do that. Um, in fact, what I can sense all the time is that Yahweh doesn't really like women too much. Okay, I don't really see Yahweh as being a protector and defender of women. Okay, in fact, when I read the Bible, Yahweh instructed men to go and rape women and kill children. So not I. I don't deal with it at all. I don't read it. I don't deal with it. I don't touch it. Now, if you show me a book named if you like I've been wanting to get the Gospel of Arabia, I'll read from a book like that. I'm not reading from a book where the God, this supposed to be the all-time ultimate God, is instructing men to kill women and to kill and rape women and rape children or kill children. I'm not judging those that do. I'm just saying that part for me is something that I cannot get past, and I'm just not going to be going around warring with anybody over it. I'm not, because it's not worth it. There are people that I love that are religious, so I'm not going to, be. I think it's sick. I think it's sick, and I think that they have a lot of people under mind control using that religion, because people are willing to fight, kill themselves, and kill others over religion and politics, which is sad. Which is sad. You know what I'm saying? So I don't make myself a part of that energy. I said no, no. Even if somebody that I love is a devout Christian, where I'm gonna settle on is love when it comes to that. I'm not gonna argue with them, and I don't even see, you know, I don't even see Christian people as my enemies. Okay. Unless you've directly shown yourself to be an enemy that hates me and wants to war with me over that religion, right? Otherwise, I'm not going to be fighting over something. This is what I'm not going to do. This is what Jamila is never going to do. I'm never going to argue and fight with people over a book that was written well over 2,000 years ago, well over 2,000 years ago, chronicling a relationship from 12, what is it, 12 men and their personal relationship with their chosen God. It's almost like a diary. It's their opinion. That's just like the story of creation. That's their opinion of creation. That, as a normally functioning and thinking human being, I can sit here and say, well, I can determine whether or not I accept that story of creation. Right? I mean, that's just all it is to it. Is that harmful to feel that way? No. But I tell you where the harm does come in is when you have a difference of beliefs. Okay. When you have a difference of beliefs, and having a belief is different than an opinion. Having a belief, especially a spiritual belief, is very different from just having an ordinary opinion. Okay. Because your spiritual belief is very, very important. This is dire. What you believe in spiritually is important, and it shouldn't be flim flam. This is something that you should sit down and think about. You should not just go and say, well, no, this is something that you need to do research on, and this is something that you need to take very seriously, and you need to look at the situation. And then you also have to accept that different people have different beliefs. Okay. Now, I am of a belief personally that religion is a problem. The constant calling upon Yahweh is a problem because all that it does is create war and death. That's all it's done throughout the years is created war and death and distrust and fear. And to me, it makes no sense whatsoever as to why people would choose that type of misery. Okay. And I feel it every single time I even talk about this subject. It can even be difficult to talk about because, as you guys know, for some reason, I felt very comfortable and safe, around Christian Baptists. I've never felt unsafe. I've experienced it from being on the internet, but growing up, since my Uncle Sonny, Uncle Charles was a pastor, he never, Christians never made me feel that way. Now, Jehovah hates me. I feel like Jehovah hates my guts for some reason. Like, Jehovah has been trying to torture me since I was a child for some reason. I'm thinking about myself, even though I am a high priestess, a pagan high priestess. I'm thinking about going and getting some guidance on that. I just haven't found uh well, I've got friends that I talk to sometimes about Jehovah, but I haven't found like a somebody to actually go and get read and look deep into that as to why I feel attacked by Jehovah. Why would Jehovah, who is a spirit, feel the need to attack me, a woman, somebody that like I just don't get it. But whatever. Okay. My whole point is this. Um I believe that early on, my great grandmother, who I talk about a lot, we don't have any pictures of her though, which is really weird. I'm gonna find out. I gotta contact my elders to find out if we have pictures of her. I believe that she and earlier ancestors of ours in my family got rid of vagabond spirits. Why? Okay, let's talk about it. I haven't been running my business for a year. I haven't been running divine services. What does that mean? That I am stable and I stick with things. I don't just, start something and not finish it. I don't just, create something and abandon it. Okay. And then number two, a lot of these men can come out here and talk crazy about me. I remember one of these males trying to make me look unstable because I was on housing assistance, raising my children in a peaceful home for several years. I wonder how I maintained that with no problems. Could it be because I kept vagabonds away? Could it be because I was stable? You know what I mean? I don't know. I was working, but of course, the vagabonds had to make up a lie and claim that I was kicked off of Section 8, that of which I was not. Y'all remember when they did that? Stefan, I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you was around then, but that group of vagabonds also tried to claim that I was kicked off of Section 8. No, I was not. While they're trying to get me kicked out. Wow, you're calling me a vagabond spirit while you're saying and stating that you're going to call my family member to have me thrown out in the streets because you want me to die out in the cold because I won't let you have sex with me. Wow. Wow. I won't let you rape me. Wow. But anyway, I digress from that. Okay. They were claiming that I got kicked off of Section 8, even though years ago, and these people talk about me offline too. They talk about me in everyday conversation with people that they talk to, and they just lie. Now, I have proof that I self terminated off of the Section 8 program. And the reason why is because I was making six figures and I had to self terminate. You can't just, I didn't even have to self terminate. I could have just reported my income and then they would have still paid a portion of my rent, which is, I guess, what I should have done since we got so many vagabond, unstably spirited people stalking business owners. By the way, not only does that black sector, that's why I be telling y'all, that's why I don't watch that mess and I cleanse myself every day and I clear myself and I burn my sage and stuff. I don't play around with those people. Okay. I don't. Okay. Not only do those people in that group try to get you put out of your house because they are vagabonds. That's what a vagabond would do. You're not the vagabond because whatever they did may have resulted in instability because those people harass jobs and they harass businesses. They've done it for years. They've done it for years. They had one of them over there, and it's like, where did these people come from? They had one of them over there harassing and stalking Tiffany on her job. If you remember, Tiffany is always Tiffany always had jobs, just like I did. Me and her both worked. Okay, this she used to be my best friend, and these people contacting her on her job. The only difference between, well, I suppose that was smart of her. She would make donations to them so that they would stop harassing her at work. I personally, as a business owner, don't have a boss. I am the boss. So you can contact me at work all you want. I'm the boss. I'm not gonna fire myself. Okay. Now, and you know what? They gotta be stopped. Just FYI, they gotta be stopped. They gotta be stopped. They're threatening to people's lives and livelihood. The vagabond that attacked me the past couple of days, doxing me and stuff, that very same group that he just loved so much. He just loved those people. They were threatening to call his HOA because of a stupid beef on the internet. What does he do instead of walking away from a group like that? He tries to involve me. That's why I don't want anything to do with him. I just saw them. I witnessed them a few weeks ago trying to expose where he works. Goodness gracious. There's no responsible males in that black sector, I can tell you, because none of them will check each other. None of them will check each other. So these are very irresponsible, vagabond spirited people. And see, for me, I know for a fact, just in my opinion, that is the problem in the world. I believe vagabond spirits have overtaken and possessed a lot of people that are homeless and living out on the streets. Homeless is when you're living on the streets. Homeless is not when you live with a relative or if you live with someone else. That's another thing. These people don't have comprehension. Okay. A person that lives with somebody, if somebody is kind enough to let somebody stay in their home, that person's not homeless. Okay. Homeless is a state of mind. Homeless is possession by a vagabond spirit. When I was dealing what I was dealing with, I felt it when I was in Georgia for some reason. And there would never be a moment where I would actually be dubbed homeless because guess what? I would have enough instinct, especially as a parent, to, if we were out on the streets, I would seek a homeless shelter. However, since my family is like my ancestors, they're not going to let a vagabond spirit possess me. You see what I'm saying? So homeless people that are living out on the streets are factually possessed by vagabond spirits. Okay? That's a fact. Jamila ain't never been possessed by no vagabond spirits. So I can't be placed under possession by any spirit. Maybe a healing spirit, I'll be possessed by that. Yes. Maybe a money spirit, maybe a lustful sexual spirit, but that would be my own spirits. People are supposed to be possessed by their own spirits, not unfamiliar spirits. Everybody got spirits. That's why people like to try to destiny swap, because people are trying to steal your spirits. That's why they coming at you in the first place. They want something from you. You're the vagabond and I'm the rich person. I'm the one that has spiritual essence. I'm the one that has spiritual so and so. So they're and in the meantime, they're trying to steal your spirits. That is how people are able to steal your ashe is by calling your spirits to them. They will even be after your family plots and your family jewels, hence grave robbers, okay? That's why as a practitioner, I would never go to a rich person's cemetery plot and take their dirt and try to make money off of it. That's for their family. Now, my own grandmother or even my mother, I could go get their dirt because that's my family. See what I'm saying? So, that's just what that is. And people will go to your family graveyards and steal their dirt because apparently their family don't have nothing to speak of. In fact, that is a practice that is done often that's never spoken about when it comes to necromancy. You heard me? That's a practice that is often done that is a necromantic practice. If your family had wealth, which my grandmother did have wealth. My grandmother was very wealthy and successful. When my grandmother retired from the post office, my grandmother started her own business. In fact, she used to have a shop in the basement. Okay. My grandmother enjoyed doing hair. My grandmother had a gift to grow hair. My grandmother was widely known. She was a healer. You know why? Because if you had alopecia or bald spots, my grandmother could grow people's bald spots. She could grow their hair back. Okay? She was well known for that. So my grandmother had a lot of talent. So it doesn't surprise me at all to see people after her ashe. The problem is that her ashe is for her family. See what I'm saying? So you have to protect your ancestors. Your ancestral altars are not just to commune with them, but rather to protect them. Okay, your ancestral altars are to protect your ancestors and your family jewels. Now, what would a vagabond do? A vagabond might be running around aimlessly trying to steal from people, and they just might be the type of person or the type of people in a group that will go around, I don't know, targeting people's family. Sound familiar? Looking up your family. It's quite sad that you can actually go to uh, Google and you can find people's whole family by doing a background check. That's all you got to do. You can find people's relatives and everything, their addresses, their phone numbers. And that's something that, and then even vagabond spirited people will even call your family with an intention of causing problems. Will intentionally tell the public that they are calling your family members so that they can have you put out. Sounds like a vagabond spirit to me. Is there anything to be ashamed of if you have had problems with gang stalking. I didn't know these were honey butter. Oh well. Is it anything wrong with resting and recuperating and getting help from your loved ones and family? No, it's not. There's nothing shameful, especially for a woman who's been attacked by a damn man. In fact, most women that were either in an emotionally abusive relationship or is this gonna fit? God dang it, this may not fit. If a woman has been in an emotionally or violent relationship, very often she does need to seek help from her family. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing to be ashamed of. Okay? And luckily, you're lucky. You're very lucky if you have your family there for you. Unfortunately, evil people vagabonds, the evil vagabonds, a vagabond spirited man, a jealous man with the curse of Cain on him, somebody that you had to flee for safety because you gave a fuck about yourself or your children. Thank God I don't have no children with no man like that. What would he want to do? What would that vagabond spirited man want to do? Vagabond spirited man will want to turn your family against you so you'll have nowhere to go. Because see, what he wants is control. Now, we're not going to get into the aspect of the Bible that says that, but you know, if a woman is underneath a man and she chooses to be up underneath that man and let that man take care of her or either go 50-50 with her, something like that, then that's beautiful. That's wonderful. But if a woman says no, that just means no. I don't want you. However, there's several passages of the Bible that gives men the spirit that they can do whatever they want to do with a woman. That even if a woman says no, she doesn't have the right to say no. Let's keep it real. Okay? So I don't even want to hear it. That's just where I'm at on that. Now, I think that if you are a person that is settled and married to somebody, then you can, you know, I guess you could be Christian and just kind of like, you know, it's all right. You know, also another thing, marriage does not belong to only Christians. Sex does not belong to only Christians. Money does not belong to only Christians. Everybody has the right to the fruits of the earth. Everybody has the right to those things. Okay. So I'm a little confused about that as well, but whatever. I'm making these points to say this. We're not going to gaslight, are we? Are we going to gaslight and ignore all of the people that have been abused by the church and abused by religious people? And why does it have to keep coming up? I'm going to tell you the reason why it keeps coming up in conversation. Because some of these religious people will not leave us alone. They will not stop. They will not stop waging war while they're in their fears of their God. I'm a polytheist and I don't fear any of the gods that I work with. It's not a requirement for me to fear them. Right. So, that's why I don't choose to do that. And I'm going to be honest with y'all 100%. All I see is Yahweh hurting people a lot. I see Yahweh punishing and hurting a lot of the people that choose to worship him. Just an observation. Okay. I just called Lilith. Thank you, Lilith. That's what I do. I just called Lilith. She stays on point. But yet, seems like these vagabondish, spirited men keep stalking us. They're unwelcome guests. These are people that you don't want anything to do with. So I'm not saying that all religious people are bad. Of course not. Now, I do believe that fear can affect. I've noticed that my clients that don't have heavy religious beliefs are definitely easier to work with, and their manifestations happen quicker. Their rituals happen quicker. I have noticed that. Uh, but that's neither here nor there. Okay. I think religion is okay as long as people are not in the spirit of harming others with it. I think witchcraft is okay as long as people are not in the spirit of harming others. But you know what? I'm going to tell y'all straight up and down that if you got somebody that's hunting you down, which we know throughout history, religious men have hunted and murdered witches. The only thing you can do is do or die. What choice do you have? Nature says to us that if a predator is trying to harm us, we have to seek refuge. And by the way, the vagabond spirit thinks that it has authority. It thinks that the vagabond spirited men think that they have authority. They're going to tell another man who can live in his house. It's a delusion. And if you don't do what I say, I'm going to attack you and terrorize you. Sounds like you trying to start a war with the ancestors. That's what that sounds like to me. What I do know is that we all have choices, and I believe that these men being in that spirit, they make a choice to be in that spirit, don't they? Everybody wakes up every single day making choices. And I'm not sorry for saying this, somebody else's choice is not going to be my demise. You make your own choices to believe that you have the right to hunt and wish death on a woman that's not bothering you, that's simply trying to leave you alone. Funny how they're always trying to turn people against you. And then they'll bring up Jesus. Well, technically, a person that is performing miracles and healing, Jesus was a healer. That's why the church murdered him. I'm confused. Well, I'm not confused. I'm confused as their behavior and their interpretation of it as to why they can't wake up. Whatever. That's what I thought Jesus was. That's what Jesus told me. Jesus told me that he was a healer. So you would think that people that are like Jesus or, are approved by Jesus. Why would Jesus need to be the only one? I don't think he wants to be. That's just my opinion. No. Last I heard from Jesus, he said that I help people that help themselves. That's the last thing I heard from Jesus. And I think Jesus even had limits. So I think that you can learn something from Jesus, maybe. But Jesus did say that he could only save 144,000 people. So, I guess I'm the devil for saying that. I don't know. Whatever. So, I just wanted to say this, that it doesn't matter what a person's spiritual beliefs are. It is their spirit and it is their behavior. A person that is actively trying to create death and homelessness and hunger for a woman is a predator. And he is a vagabond spirit trying to use housing and food as a threat to the woman, which we don't get down like that because I've always eaten my whole life. I've never dealt with a man that, said, hey, if you don't do what I say and obey me, I'm not gonna feed you. I'm gonna wish hunger, death, and poverty on you. I'm sorry, I've just never been subjected to that type of desperation. That's desperate. That's a man that's desperate to control you, and I'm not sorry. I'm not falling for that. And you don't have any authority. The ancestors have authority, not you. For me personally, my ancestors have authority, not you. You're not an ancestor. You're not a familiar. Okay, so you don't have any authority. But this has consistently been history, the history of dealing with these kind of men. And I believe that spirit knows how to deal with them. I truly believe that. I believe that the gods know how to deal with somebody like that. Straight up and down. And I believe that they should, because, that is just horrible. You do, as a man, you do not have the right to bring down judgment on a woman. Matter of fact, I don't even really feel judged by Yahweh at all. I don't think Yahweh is paying much attention to me. It's the men that are perverts, that are perverted, a man that's sick in his loins, running around the internet, so sick in his loins, and not needing to have sex, but needing to truly turn to God, accusing the woman who takes refuge with her family of sleeping with her family. Wow, that's yeah, I can't have a conversation with a person like that. You know what I'm saying? So thank you, Goddess. We have been witnessing the crud. And again, this is an unfamiliar person to the woman. He's unfamiliar. If it's a man that a woman feels a connection with, like my significant other that I have now, my significant other is Christian. He's a Christian, but I feel a connection with him. I feel like me and him, and he would, he would never be in that spirit of wanting to see harm come to me. I just don't see that. And I would never want to see or nor would I let harm come to him. You know what I mean? I've seen women throughout the years have to defend their man and defend the men in their lives. I've had to do it because you have perverted men who have an obsession claiming that they are a man of honor and a man of the church, but yet they're obsessed and they're attempting to attack, and women too, attempting to attack anybody that loves the woman that is the, I guess, the apple of their obsession. So I don't even want to hear it. This is not about a debate about religion or spirituality, but the war stops when you stop feeling like you are entitled to a woman that doesn't want you, that belongs to another man. A woman that has stated, this is my man, this is who I choose. You don't even have to know who he is. Men of the church want to know. That's why we got so much stalking going on. They want to know, and they want you to reveal the identity of the man that you love. That reminds me of that movie with Demi Moore. When Demi Moore got pregnant, and the men of the church demanded and commanded for Demi Moore to tell them who the father of her child was, which is to me very nosy and weird and a violation of privacy. But hey, when you get a bunch of men that think that they have that kind of authority over all of the women in the community, then that's the kind of stuff you get. It's called the Scarlet Letter. As a woman, I wear my Scarlet Letter proudly. And if you're a man, if you are a man and a woman is under judgment because she loves you, a woman is under judgment because she loves you and cares about you and wants to be with you, probably the best idea to appreciate that woman, because you don't know what that woman is going through for you. You don't know the attacks that she is going through just to be with you. I love that movie. Have you ever seen that? Stefan, The Scarlet Letter with Demi Moore. I love Demi Moore. I like Bruce Willis too. You know, he's been going through dementia. He don't even know who he is. Ain't that sad? I personally think that the spirit of love is stronger. I feel like it's the strongest thing, and I feel like it should be coveted, and I think that everybody should choose love. If more people chose love than to war and to kill in the name of a God out of fear, this world would definitely be better. It would. You know what I mean? But, you know, Demi Moore, I loved her passion. She was pregnant for that man, and they threw her in prison. I think I might watch that movie tonight when I get off of here. I think I may watch that. That movie always gets me. It always make me cry. She was sitting up there pregnant. She had to give birth to her baby in prison. They put her in prison. Had her living in deplorable conditions. All because she loved a man other than her husband. It was basically presumed that her husband was dead, but her husband was all off frolicking around. I guess he was at war with the Indians or whatever. I just like the love story. The love story was really sweet. And then the guy that played her lover, he actually played in Bram Stoker's Dracula too. So, you know, anyway. None of my gods would ever tell me to harm anyone that I love. None of my gods would ever expect for me to walk away from the people that I love. Nobody. None of my gods would do that. That's horrible. My gods encourage me to love the people that I love freely and to be proud of it. So, you know, I don't understand all that other stuff. I don't know how to hate. I just know how to love. Well, I do know how to hate the enemies, right? The people that, and that would be anybody that's attacking me. Christians are not my enemy. Christian people are not necessarily my enemy because I have people that I love that are Christian. So they are not my enemies. Never, right? Oh yeah, we loved her. And what, Stefan? You've never seen? Oh my God, Stefan, you have got to watch that. It is called The Scarlet Letter. They dogged the shit out of Demi Moore in that movie because she fell in love with that preacher man. They dogged the shit out of her. They after she gave birth and they let her out of prison, I think that she still refused to name her man. So that's why they put her in prison, because they were trying to force her to tell them who the baby's father was. And she never revealed it. She never revealed it. He eventually told everybody. It's very emotional and dramatic. He was like, "This woman, I love this woman." You know, he was like, "I love her." You know, it was really a beautiful movie. But what they did was they the Scarlet Letter was the letter A for adulterer, and I love that movie. And you know what? If I'm an adulterer, then goddamn it, I guess that's which I ain't been married to nobody, so I couldn't. I ain't committed adultery at all. And they made her wear that letter A every day on her clothing to mark her. Absolutely horrifying, horrifying people doing stuff like that. What business of yours who she made love to? That's none of your business. Probably a lot of the women and men in the village though were probably paranoid because they thinking, is my husband the father? Is my husband the father? Now the father was that cute preacher. Okay, that was the daddy. So they're like, name who he is, or we're gonna put you in prison, and they literally put that pregnant woman in prison and kept her captive there. So, religion has consistently done the most evil, more evil than good, unfortunately. Kind of like as a whole, religion has done more evil. Like, I'm not saying that religious people have done all evil, and I'm not saying that all religious people are evil. I'm just saying that religion as a whole has done more harm and killed more people than anything else. So, or rather, religious people, you know what I mean? I think that religious people themselves are loving and they are love, but I don't think that the religion itself is actually based in any love. To me it seems like the perfect handbook for, destruction and misery, in my opinion. That's just my opinion though, you know what I mean? Especially when it comes to the curse of Cain and things of that nature. It's just really sad. uh, you know, and then especially when people, because let's face it, there are religious people that they love and they're in Christ consciousness, but there's some religious people that they seem more like the devil that they speak about in the Bible, because Cain was definitely a devil. But whatever, it ain't my business. Okay. And just FYI, I know exactly what to do with a vagabond spirit or a vagabondish enemy. So, that's just what that is. I personally think it's sad for somebody to take a book. I think it's sad for somebody to take a book and pick out all of the negative shit about it and try to conjure it and try to conjure the spirit of that. I think that that's sad when people do that. But really, it's, honestly, uh, I'm one to believe that everybody that wants to be saved should be saved. And I don't mean saved in a way of, what they speak about in the church. I'm just talking about saved, period. To where they're not the spoils, because unfortunately there's a lot of spoilage, a lot of death that's created around religion, you know, which is why I am in a habit of healing my loved ones that are afflicted. Even if they think I'm the devil or whatever, I still heal my loved ones and I still love them because I overstand them. And sometimes, sometimes I don't feel appreciated or valued, even though, I'm doing things based upon my Native American practices that I know heals people. Um, but that's okay because I understand when my loved ones, or people are fearful. You know what I mean? I understand that how Yahweh has got, or that whole concept, that egregore, that collective consciousness has so many people in fear, you know? So, anywho, that is pretty much what I wanted to say. My doors are open for anybody that is being religiously abused, because I can honestly tell you that being placed under religious abuse by religious people who think they're God, it is a very hard thing, and it's unfair. It's unfair. It's wrong. It's self-righteous. It's hypocrisy. It's all of the things that you don't want. You know what I mean? So, I'll constantly still be a safe haven for those people. It doesn't matter where I live. No matter what that aspect doesn't matter. It's just that that's what people need. That's what, because, and people will argue about this, but, you know, there are many gods, and Yahweh is outnumbered. Yahweh is, in fact, Sophia had to create Yahweh. So Yahweh had to be created by a divine feminine essence. So, it is what it is, but y'all be careful of vagabond spirits, because they're out there, and I'm one of the ones that are battling and dominating them and beating them, because everything that they are is born out of their sexual perversion, which is why typically when they are attacking a woman, they're also talking about sex or either demeaning her sexually. Okay. And I can assure you that it having roots with Cain, it's not based upon what they're doing, is not based upon anything righteous. It's based upon jealousy. Jealousy, even if you don't worship the same God. So, anywho, that's pretty much it, guys. I'll see y'all later. All right. Make sure that y'all hit the thumbs up and hype this video, because everybody deserves to feel good. Everybody deserves to be loved. Nobody deserves to be casted out, not even Satan. I'm going to say this about Satan. Satan never killed nobody, did he? Even when you read the Bible, Satan ain't killed nobody. Things that make you go, hmm. Anyway, that's pretty much it, you guys. All right. Have a good week. Bye bye.